that you guys are hoping to be making in regard to focusing on starting pitching as well as finishing outfielders. In just the last 24 hours, is there anything that's come to you or kind of been a big topic of conversation amongst you guys?
You know what? I don't think that outside of some conversations that we've had with players, representatives, we've moved much further than 24 hours. I think that there's a lot of continued conversations, and again, the elephant in the room is what Shohei is going to decide to do. I think that speaking for our organization is kind of trying to figure out how to read and react, and build a roster. And so there's a lot of kicking of tires, irons in the fire, any kind of analogy you want to use, but we're trying to position ourselves in the best possible way. So we're going to keep having these conversations and see, what best way to, be the best club we can in 24 and going forward. And I think the narrative, the thought of starting pitching is still high on the list as well. What's that? Am I able to say that? It's a good possibility. I think that, we met with him. I don't want to. I'd like to be honest, and so we met with Shohei and we talked, and I think it went well. But at the end of the day, he's his own man, and he's going to do what's best for himself, where he feels most comfortable.
Dave, when and where did you meet?
We met in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium a couple days ago.
What was the pitch? Things that you guys emphasized here?
I don't know if it was more of a pitch. I think it was more of just sort of getting more familiar with him. I think that he had questions for us, just trying to get more of the landscape. But being in this league for 6 years, he's got a pretty good idea of the Dodgers, what we're about, the city itself. And so for me, and speaking for our guys, it was just a pleasure to get to spend some time with them.
How different is that from the experience you had in 2017?
I think in 17, I think it was more of an overview, and you're selling more of a sell on things that he didn't really know about: the country, the city, the organization, potential role. And I think that, in this situation, not trying to speak for him, but it's a little bit more narrowed on what his desires are as far as teams. And I don't think the sell needed to be as large. I think he was more of just kind of trying to feel what everyday life would look like.
Do you have any players there?
No.
What is it like? Is that like a high pressure thing?
No, I don't think that. I think it's pretty easy to have conversation with anyone if you feel comfortable in what you're about, who you work with. We're about people. We're about winning, and so I think that that's pretty easy to talk about. So I don't think that there's no hiding of the ball. It's just kind of here we are, and we really hope he feels it's a fit.
How confident are you?
I feel good about it, but again, he's his own man, which we all respect.
Do you know if he's going to again?
I don't.
Have you been following all the little twists and turns
I haven't. I honestly, I haven't.
to track his private jet?
I don't know. I did. Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. It wasn't me.
Hey Dave, when it comes to obviously player, his profile and the investment that it's taken on that, so how much is his policy with the media of not talking about since after Dave pitches, and he's not even going to be pitching for a year? Does that come up? Is that a consideration when you're talking to him?
We didn't have that conversation. I think that's something that, I think that it's a conversation that should be had. I think it's he and whatever organization, media relations, Ipe, and just kind of trying to figure out what's best, for himself, but also, baseball. And so I don't know the right answer. My hope is that we get to have that conversation, but I really can't speak to, how it's been prior.
How much do you just make the smiling, the puppy?
He has a very good poker face. So I think he was smiling inside. But I was just happy to spend some time with him. We all were. Somewhere around there.
2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Dave, a lot of the clubs who have theoretically met with him are practicing sort of cloak and dagger. I'm just curious what gives you the confidence to just come out and say you have.
I just think that I don't feel like lying is something that I do. And I was asked a question. And yeah, I think to be forthright in this situation, we kept it quiet, but I think that it's going to come out at some point that we met, and it obviously already has. And so I don't think myself or anyone in our organization would want to lie about it.
Has it been, obviously, like, this seems to be kind of private or delicate, like, with him in particular, has it been, you've been part of it, more secretive, or you guys have had to be more careful with it than with a typical
I think that's fair. I think that, we want to respect Shohei's wishes, Nez's wishes as far as being private. So I think that we took the necessary, ways to do that, to honor his wishes. But obviously, people talk and things, and so I don't think that I need to share what we talked about. But I don't think, I think that's as forthright as I should be, and you guys deserve to be, right?
So you guys snuck him in from the back of the stadium, or?
No, there's no, it's just kind of, I don't need to get into all that stuff, it's all, we had an opportunity to get together, which we both wanted, and then ultimately now, he has an opportunity to make a decision.
How hard has it been to focus on, like, the other things you guys need to do this winter while you're kind of waiting for that situation to pop up? Has it made it kind of, has it been easy to kind of have plan Bs or kind of other paths depending on what you think?
I don't think it's, obviously this is probably, and this is, obviously a front office baseball operation situation. They're working tirelessly. And there's a lot of scenarios and ways that this could go. But clearly, Shohei is our top priority. And so I still think that we've got a lot of people working on other things, and ultimately to be the best ball club we can be.
Kind of touched on the starting pitching. Like, how many starters do you feel like you guys need to add this winter?
I think I would say certainly, one, but two starting pitchers is feasible. But, with that, we've got some young guys that are under control that made some big steps forward last year. And so I think that, we're in a really good spot. Not in really a position, for me, in a position of need. It's more of, how can we upgrade and get better and add depth? But it's not somewhere where it's dire in any stretch as far as starting pitching.
Did you also meet Yamamoto?
No,
Can you talk about
I have not had a chance to meet him. I hope I get the opportunity. Watched a lot of video, but I haven't had that opportunity. But hopefully at some point in time, I get the chance.
With the pitching, like, there have been times in the past couple of years where, like, you guys maybe needed another top starter. Do you feel more confident that you guys will be able to line up on something, just given how things are shaking out so far this winter?
I think so. I think that there's a lot of different ways to access players. Obviously, there's the free agent, and there's also the trade market. So I think that if there's opportunities, I think that we can certainly we're going to be in the conversation for a lot of different arms, starting pitching arms. Yeah.
Dave, you guys going to Seoul and have a pretty stage over there next month. Could you share your thought about that?
I'm excited to go to Seoul. I've never been. Obviously having a pitcher like Ryu, and before, obviously he's not with us now, but talking about the city, I'm really looking forward to it. Learning more about the culture of the city, and obviously there's a lot of good ball players there, and so for us and the Padres to go over there and showcase, play 2 regular season games, it's good for baseball. I'm excited.
Hey, with Shohei, obviously he's a successor. Are you guys aware of what that is? Have you guys have access to that information? Are you confident that he would be able to come back and be a pitcher or start?
We are. So obviously, Dr. Elatrosh is obviously the point person with that, but I think our staff is confident that when the time is right that he will pitch again. But I think the thing is for us, you're making a bet on the person and the player as well. But when you're committing, this type of length and dollars, we're all in on the person. And I think that we're willing and excited to make that bet, and hopefully it comes to pass.
Obviously, as a reporter, I prefer your approach, but there have been so many other teams that have operated under real close of secrecy about whether they're even pursuing Ohtani. What makes you feel comfortable acknowledging that he is a priority publicly?
I just think that, there's a point, there's a respect of privacy, which I think that we've done that. There's a foundational integrity part of it, I feel, and not necessarily the gamesmanship part of it, which is still plausible and fair, which I think that, I've already heard rumblings, and for me, it's hard to, get a pointed question and then to just give a false answer knowingly. And so I don't think it's disrespect to anybody in, Show's party or on our side. I think that, the details are going to be withheld, which I think they should be. But it's pretty clear he's a priority for us.
How many Ohtani rumors have you heard this winter?
More than any player I've ever imagined. So, but rightfully so. I mean, he's a special player.
When are you expecting a decision?
You know what? I don't have that answer. I would expect soon, but again, I don't think that no one's putting his foot to the fire, and he'll make the decision when he and Nez and his camp feel appropriate.
Do you think after he makes this decision, we'll see a lot more of just these moves and acquisitions kind of opening up throughout the market, or do you think we'll kind of start to see some of that before he makes this decision?
I think it'll start to happen shortly thereafter.
What do you want to see added just with the rest of the roster? Just wondering how things are shaping up.
I think that I think the pen is in a really good spot. I think that obviously we've talked a lot about starting pitching and the depth that we're trying to cement. I think position player wise, I think that there's a bat or two or a bet on an internal option or internal options. So I think we'll solidify the pitching side of things, and then we'll go from there.
Ohtani, do you think you still try to go out and add impact that the top market guys evaluate the trade market there?
It's possible, yeah.
Or do you want a primary DH or something in that role there? Or?
Obviously with what we did with JD, I think with what Shohei brings, it makes sense. But in years past, I think for 1 or 2 years, we kind of rotated, which is on the table as well. So I don't think we're beholden to one way or the other, but unless it's an elite kind of DH. Gavin, I think right now he's working his way back. I think he's more of a 80% baseball player, 20% rehab guy. And so I think by spring training, he'll be 100% of a baseball player of that mind. I don't see him taking down, every game, but I see him as our shortstop. And so, getting him back to health, and then it comes to the performance piece. Walker, I owe him a phone call. I think he's doing well. He'll be ready to go in spring training. But when we decide to make his debut in 24 is going to be determined. Whether it's the first week or a month later. We're going to kind of wait and see how spring goes. Yeah.
Some time now. How did you absorb another first round playoff exit after that happening 2 years in a row?
Yep.
What did you change?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the thing that we're tackling, I think, is the starting pitching. I think that's something that forefront of mind. You look at those 3 games, and we didn't really give ourselves a chance. And so I think that addressing that, I think, is something that we're trying to do.
Is that the lesson that you take?
No, not necessarily. I just think that there's just looking out to 24 and what we had, in 23. I think there's clear opportunities to get better there. But every postseason's different. I can look at 22 and 21 and 19 and argue that it wasn't the starting pitching. So I don't know if there's one formula, but I just think that where we're at, coming off of 23, it's clear that part of our roster needs to be upgraded.
Going back to Walker, if he is kind of delayed a month, would that be more because of him still kind of building up during the offseason coming back, or more to try to manage his workload?
It's a combo. It's what's best to have him being able to finish the season with bullets left. So you could argue start and have a stop or a abbreviation throughout the season, or you could argue just start a little bit later so there's no pause. And so there's no right answer. Obviously Walker's going to be a big part of the conversation, and then we'll be all in on that.
Okay, obviously we all appreciate your honesty. It's obvious that Shohei was required for a while now. This last offseason, the way you guys operated with teams sort of you guys contracts the 1 year games and all that stuff. Do you feel like you guys were inhibited your ability to win awards? I know you guys want to win this year, but with Shohei in the back this offseason, you guys are inhibited your ability to win the World Series and have the best roster.
I don't think so. I think that's it's certainly a results-based industry. I mean, outside of that first series, we played very well against the Diamondbacks, and we got it handed to us in the postseason. So I don't think it was a virtue of our roster. I believe our roster was better than their roster. They played 3 games. They outplayed it for 3 games and earned it. So I don't think that we conceded anything. I just think it speaks to, to not fire all bullets or levers and still win 100 games and to put yourself in a position speaks a lot to our organization. We just didn't play well for 3 games. So I don't think that I was as surprised as anyone.
After the NLDS, not just with your series, but even in Atlanta, there was a lot of talk about the 5 days off for the 2 top seeds. Has a lot of the league officials here, has there been any dialogue between managers and the league about those 5 days off?
We're going to meet with the commissioner here shortly as managers, so I'm sure there's going to be some talk of that. It's interesting, for every small group of managers that say it's a disadvantage, there's going to be another handful or a dozen that say, bring it on, I'll take the 5 days off. So I'm sure there's a conversation, but at the end of the day, we just got to play better with the constructs of the rules. And I don't know the answer. If you have the answer, give it to me and I'll try to apply it. But yeah, the last couple of years with layoffs, we didn't fare well. So clearly we got to do something different or just play better.
It's not exclusive to you.
It's not. It's not. So I just don't know the answer, but I know that we're going to have talks about that, though. Yeah.
Do you expect the same coaching staff back next year?
I do. Clayton McCullough was in the mix for a couple jobs, but he'll be back. Everyone else to this point will be back, and we're kind of to the point where it's going to be our guys. It's going to get late in the game as far as being asked on certain guys. So I think it'll be the same guys. Yeah. Thanks, guys.